489. We'll cover you.
Hey everybody, Matthew here from MiniWarGaming.com, and welcome to Storytime Part 4A of the Battle for Minaria Prime Tau and Orc Narrative Campaign. The reason this is Storytime 4A is because I'm going to do another one which will be right after Mission 4A. So the Storytime 4A is for Mission 4A, and then there will be a Storytime 4B that'll go in between the two battle reports, and then the final one, of course, is Mission 4B. And the story times will both be free, and then Mission 4B, of course, will be in the MiniWarGaming Vault. So spoiler alert, of course, if you haven't watched the previous episodes to the Battle for Minaria Prime narrative campaign, I will be giving stuff away, so make sure you go back and watch those first. You have been warned. So, let's recap. Big Mech Ironspitta's gambit paid off, although it almost cost him his life. Leading his forces through the maze buildings under the Tau outpost, he reached the area that would allow him to destroy not only the Tau above ground, but war boss Clawslasher as well, once he engaged them, of course. He had to time that just right. Chasnal Noriath attempted to rally his forces to repel Ironspitta and his mechs, but to no avail. Although Ironspitta took a critical hit and fell temporarily unconscious, Noriath suffered the same fate. Ironically, the thing that killed the most orcs was actually the other orcs, not the Tau. The mechs were just too quick to set their charges and detonate them, and they caved in entire areas that covered Tau and orcs alike. When the dust settled, Clawslasher lay prone underground, his mangled bike nearby, and several burnt holes piercing his body. When he finally regained consciousness, he found himself surrounded by unfriendly orcs, a grinning, although limping, Ironspitta amongst them. It took him a moment to realize that he had been duped. Remember, he's more brutal than cunning. He slowly and painfully stood up, raised his broken power claw high in the air, bellowed a mighty wah, and charged at Ironspitta. Didn't make it very far when suddenly Sluggas and Shootas and Burnas opened fire and ended Clawslasher, finishing his reign permanently. Big Mech Ironspitta wasted no time in rallying his troops to march on the remaining Thunderbolts. All it took was showing the body of Clawslasher to convince the Thunderbolts that Ironspitta was worthy to lead them. Orcs all over Minaria Prime acknowledged him as their leader, and very few, well, there's still few, still rebelled against him. Noriath somehow escaped whilst the orcs' attention was on Clawslasher. As soon as he was on the surface, he sent out a distress signal to the rest of the Tau who came to rescue him. His report was dire. The orcs had united and the Wog was not slowed. Commander Otoran was able to verify this, and he told Noriath that deep scans of the orcs' main factories showed that Ironspitta had already begun construction of a mighty Gargant, a great orc effigy that would ensure that the Wog not only continued, but strengthened. The Tau were at a loss of how they could do any further damage, and considered retreating back to Varus to prepare for the inevitable orc invasion of their beloved planet. It was much to their surprise when an orc appeared at the outskirts of their main encampment, demanding to speak to their leader. This orc claimed to belong to the last warband that defied Ironspitta's rule. He stated that his warband had been constructing a mighty bomba with the capabilities of taking out the Gargant with one drop of their specialized bombs. The problem they faced was that they just didn't have the forces necessary to escort it past the orc defenses to reach the Gargant. What he proposed was almost insane, but Otoran was desperate enough to listen. The orc warband would attack Ironspitta's factories, distracting as many defenses away as possible, and the Tau would escort the orc bomba into the factory to destroy the Gargant. Seeing no other real choice but to flee and leave Ironspitta in even greater power, Otoran agreed, and the Tau mobilized their forces. And that will be Mission 4A, a huge battle involving lots of fighting in the air, moving terrain as they approach the Gargant, with Big Mech Ironspitta wielding a mighty Stompa to try to stop them. So you can go ahead and click the link in the video description. There'll be a few links in the video description. We're going to see Mission 4A there, Storytime Part 4B, watch that after you watch 4A. And then finally, in the MiniWarGaming Vault will be the grand finale, Mission 4B, which you're going to have to see this one first to kind of see how it all plays into the sequence of events. If you're not a MiniWarGaming Vault member, that's okay. You can still click it, and we allow you to take a free 7-day trial to get instant access to everything inside the vault. We hope that you'll try it out. It really helps support us and allows us to be able to make all of this possible. A lot of money goes into making the sets, the models, the terrain, paying employees, keeping the lights on and all of that. So we do appreciate our Vault members that allow us to be able to keep in business, to keep making videos like this. So go ahead, click the links below. Thanks for watching. Happy wargaming.